What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is iRate Reviews, the show where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my ideas, and let you know whether it's something you should go back to the comic book shop for or not. I'm going to be talking about Unworthy Thor number 2. So Unworthy Thor is the telling of the Odinson's story. So he is still unworthy, he still does not hold the power to wield Mjolnir, and he's making a trip throughout space in order to track down what has been revealed to him by the unseen, what has been revealed to him as an alternate Thor's hammer. So, where we left off in the last issue was that Thor had actually just gotten to Old Asgard and ran into Beta Ray Bill, so that's where we pick up now. So Beta Ray Bill, being the honorable individual that he is, and if you're not familiar with Beta Ray Bill, we'll talk about that in a bit, but Beta Ray Bill, being the honorable individual he is, hands over Stormbreaker to Thor, and what Thor realizes that not only is he unworthy of Mjolnir, he's unworthy of the loyalty and friendship of this person, this warrior that once was his rival and now is one of the boys he calls brothers. You know, he's just one of the strongest, one of the most powerful, and one of the most loyal individuals, one of the most honorable individuals in the cosmos. So after Thor respectfully declines Stormbreaker, they get into a conversation trying to figure out who exactly could steal an entire realm like Old Asgard. And that's when they're bombarded with different blasts and things like that. And it just becomes a huge battle scene. It's just like, Beta Ray Bill is ready to go out in there and wreck some house, and then he's just like, hey, Thor, are you sure you can do that in your condition? And he's just like, you know what? I might be unworthy, but I'm not dead. And he's just ready for battle. And it's awesome. You know, anytime that you're talking about space battles with Thor and Beta Ray Bill, it's going to be a huge amount of fun. So they get into this ruckus, and then they notice that there's this giant ship the size of a galaxy or a star system over there in the distance, and who could that possibly be? We don't really know at that point in time, but we do know that there is a gigantic bomb on board, and that's one of those things that's relayed to us in the text. So this bomb is unleashed and ultimately decimates the entire area. We don't necessarily know what happened to Beta Ray Bill, but we do know that Thor wakes up in chains and shackles. I mean, these are no ordinary shackles, because this happens to be the abode of the Collector. And the Collector has all kinds of different specimens of all kinds of different species, and now he has collected himself a Thor Odinson. And what else does he have? Well, he has to show Thor the fact that he collected Old Asgard. He's not necessarily interested in the land. He's not interested in the ruins, but he's interested in this hammer that comes from an alternate universe that was wielded by a Thor and can no longer be moved. And what we get is a scene where, you know, the Collector orders somebody to go over and touch it, and he's instantly evaporated. And this isn't necessarily some sort of defense mechanism that the original Ultimate Mjolnir had. This is definitely much more mystical. And it seems like when God Emperor Doom created this, or pulled this Thor into the Battle World realm and made him part of his Thor core, he magically enchanted the hammer instead of having it be a technology-based hammer like it originally was in the Ultimates universe. This is going to be pretty interesting because Thor still needs to be worthy in order to wield that hammer. With the Collector threatening an individual, you know, one of the rarest species in the history of the universe, the only one of his kind left, Thor is just like, you bastards, you need to be worthy, I can't make you worthy, I'm not even worthy myself! And then the hammer starts reacting, and it starts wielding lightning, and just smashes the guy that's going to kill the kid, and it's an awesome scene, it's a great scene. But what we realize at this point in time is that even though Thor may be worthy, he has been putting forth the energy needed to be deemed worthy by this new hammer, he's not going to get a chance at it for another issue or two, because the Collector puts him out of his misery and then ultimately sets him up so that way he feels ferocious and wants to drive to get that hammer himself. So this is a really great issue. Olivier Coipel's art is just fantastic. It's really a great cosmic sense. I really like the way that it's set up, and how he renders everything is awesome. As far as the story goes, Jason Aaron has been setting this up since 2014, and everything, even though it doesn't necessarily make sense in the continuity of the Ultimate Universe, it makes a little bit more sense in terms of Secret Wars, but really this is about him telling a through line through the Thor story arc, through the Thor characters, that makes a lot of sense and brings Odinson back to the forefront of the Marvel Universe, taking him from unworthy to worthy, and then possibly introducing a secondary source of power. Because right now we've got Stormbreaker, which is in the hands of Beta Ray Bill, and we've got Mjolnir, which is in the hands of Jane Foster's Thor. So having a third hammer wielder could be very interesting, especially with the upcoming war that he's alluded to in several different issues. Overall, Unworthy Thor, still a standout read, and I can't recommend it enough to people. Definitely one that you should go back to the shop for, and there was also a second printing of issue number 1, so grab that too if you haven't already. Gotta go read Unworthy Thor, especially if you want to catch up on the character. So that's my review of Unworthy Thor number 2, but I want to know what you guys think too, so hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe right there to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.